Say when. Okie dokie. So I want to call this regular meeting of the Deep River Planning Zoning Commission to order Thursday, January 15th, 2026. It is 7:02 p.m. Do a roll call. So Anthony Baldock, Chairman, Lisa Maria.
Here.
Alan Parody. Here. Stan Reinheimer.
Present.
Daniel Smith.
Here.
Jonathan Castor is absent. Sarah McAwicki.
Here.
So on to item number 2, audience of citizens. Citizens may address the commission on items that are not on the agenda. Speaker here. Anybody online? Right, Tony? Yes.
You need to sit on the other side of the table with Jake.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to put my hand up, Tony. Is Fred Jordan calling? Can you hear me?
You got the floor, Fred.
Yeah, I have a question because I looked at the zoning commissions or the zoning ordinances, and I don't find in definitions, I don't find a definition of a farm. So how do we have discussions about farm permits and like when our zoning does not have a definition of a farm?
Okay, when there is no definition, I believe you refer to the state's definition for a farm.
Well, shouldn't that be something that should be narrowed down to what's particular to our town, considering that we do have some authority in that area?
So you want an additional regulation for farms? Is that- just
Well,
making sure.
I think we should have a definition of a farm. You know, a couple of chickens doesn't make a farm. So my question is what does define a farm other in the town of Deep River?
Understood.
2 chickens.
Just 2, huh?
Why not?
All right.
And Mr. Chair, you were, just if you don't mind me jumping in.
No, please.
You're absolutely right. If there, in the absence of a definition, there's a number of sources that, a court would look through to see what we use. There happens to be a definition of agriculture and farming in the general statutes. So that would be the default would be the existing general statute definition.
Okay.
Well, we have definitions for garages, we have definitions for outbuildings, but apparently something as big as a farm, we don't have a definition.
Okay. We are working on our zoning regulations, so we will put that into consideration and make sure we get the general statutes spelled out correctly too. Anything else, Fred?
Nope.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else? Audience of citizens?
Lawrence Stewart, 134 Kirtland Street. Following up on a letter we sent to zoning enforcement officer and the Planning and Zoning Commission with regards to a liquor permit application. My question is, how do we get to the signing of the liquor permit application if there is no special permit on file?
Yeah. Gonna have to check with the zoning enforcement officer and our attorney. This is, you're referring to the one over at the Lace Factory, correct?
That's right, I'm sorry.
Okay. Zoe, did you catch all that?
He's on mute.
Zoe, you were on mute.
Yep.
Okay. Did you hear everything or?
I can hear everything. It's a little soft as it goes farther back, but
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so the question was, how did we get to the signing of the liquor permit for the Lace Factory?
The application.
The application, sorry.
I reviewed the language of the special permit actually with our attorney who's here tonight. So Ken, if you feel comfortable talking about it, I know that's not what you prepared for tonight. But we reviewed it together based off of the language of catering and determined that I was able to sign off on it.
And I'm not comfortable speaking about it. We focused on today on the matter that's on the agenda tonight and getting that done. I do have your email with some of the attachments that you sent me earlier today, Zoe, so I will be reviewing that. We had discussed it previously before you had signed it, so I'll take a look at all the materials you submitted and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
One person beat you to the, Chloe?
Hi there. I was just wondering if, seeing as we are not able to speak on the topics that are listed on the agenda tonight, if and when we will be able to speak on those. But my next question is also the permit applications that are being discussed tonight, are they being approved this evening or are they just being open for discussion?
So under old business, these are applications that, have to be approved or denied tonight because they are at the end of their limit. The new business stuff, is just an acceptance or a discussion, and it would be assigned, at the next meeting for either a public hearing or, the one that's here just as a discussion. They haven't submitted an application yet. So when they submit an application, then it would be listed on the agenda.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, Mr. Ginder?
Yes, I'm Bob Ginder, 137 Kirtland Street. I'd like to add on to what Mr. Stewart said about asking the zoning enforcement officer about signing that application for a liquor permit. A few things that he forgot to mention, I just want to make everybody aware. Some of the things that we're missing that need to be in place for signing those permits is there needs to be a special permit for outdoor service. The planning and zoning does not have any special permit for outdoor service, yet the zoning enforcement signed off on that. Another thing is in your Deep River regulations, it does state that in the Harbor District, that if there's a change of ownership, that a special permit needs to be applied for and approved in order to transfer ownership of a business. That happened this past year. However, no special permit authorizing any change of ownership as stated in the zoning regulations exists either. Thirdly, one of the special permits that we have been told repeatedly is on file is not on file. It does not exist. I have 40 pages of documents here. I've submitted a complaint to the Freedom of Information Act Commission because the zoning enforcement officer is unable to provide a special permit that they claim is on the land records. It is not. There's meeting minutes there. There's an affidavit there. There's other things, but Connecticut state statute requires that special permit. So there are 3 special permits that are missing, and there's no reason why the zoning enforcement officer should have signed that application for special permit. Thank you.
I'd just like to clarify something, that the special permits are not missing, and I provided all documentation that I have access to.
The permit is missing. If it's not provided to me for my FOIA request.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right, on to approval minutes. So we have November 20th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Hope everybody read them. Any corrections? If not, looking for a motion.
I'd move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or recusing? All right. We also have November 20th, 2025 list of motions. Just a shortened version. To approve or corrections.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed or abstaining? Okay, we also have December 3rd, 2025 special meeting minutes. We have a chance to look at those. So looking for a motion.
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed, abstaining? All right, on to old business. Item A, site plan application addition to create 4 residential dwelling units at existing mixed-use property at 190 Main Street, map 57, lot 45. The applicant is J&J Deep River LLC. We heard from them last time. there's an applicant here. You did get design advisory comments, which we were after last time. There an applicant?
Yes.
He's online.
Oh,
I'm
sorry. Looking in the audience there.
Hi, how are you?
How's it
My
going?
name's Francis Albus. I'm the architect on the project,
Yep.
representing the applicant tonight.
Okay. All right, so I think we were good with this last time. We're just waiting for design advisory comments. Did you guys all have a chance to look at that? Come, go ahead. You're gonna say something, Alan?
No, there was discussion regarding the lot coverage in the general permanent building. I know that there's a note on here that says where the areas we're at a limitation on the coverage, but where we're going to pave the areas, it will be paved with permeable pavers.
That's correct.
Permeable pavers do not count as 100% permeability. Typically, it only accounts for 50% of the area being permeable. So as documented, unless we accept permeable pavers as being 100% permeable, we're not meeting the coverage requirement.
Gee, in an MS4 town, I don't think you can waive that unless they put in stormwater. So the option would be to just leave it. It's gravel now, correct?
Correct. The other thing, and it's a because it's documented on your site plan, it's saying that 30 spaces are required and 29 spaces are provided. We can only interpret that as there being insufficient parking.
How about the one space? Yes.
Question for Zoe. With the new bill that just passed, well, I should ask Ken too. With the new bill that just passed, we can't require parking anymore, right? Isn't that out the window now for housing?
It's a long, complicated bill and it has a lot of limitations on it. I don't want to give you an unequivocal, you can't do it at all.
Okay.
I believe, and of course, I'm going to a whole thing about this next week, actually.
Right.
But I think it's by the number of units. So I think I can try to pull it up right now to make sure, but I think if it's under a certain number of units, you cannot require.
Isn't the number 15? That sticks in my head because it was like 14 and under or 16
No,
and over.
yeah, it's 16. So
15,
right now,
okay.
the way the statute's written is 16 and under and 16 and over. So the question right now is, but what about 16?
Right. That's okay.
just
That's
'cause
the number.
it was an error, but
I love the state.
Okay. And I know our regulations typically said a maximum number of parking spaces.
Yes.
But the documentation that's submitted is deficient by a space. So this requires some clarification. I don't know how you. The other thing is I would like to get a count on the bedrooms. I'm not seeing a total count on bedrooms within the units and within the specific regulations for the village district. It does limit for multi-unit housing. I'm gonna go back to it, but I think it's a maximum average of 1.5 bedrooms per unit. Do we have a count on the total bedrooms?
I'm just gonna.
where in the regs is that?
It's special regulations specific to the village districts. And let me go see if I can dig that up for you.
The current new apartment breakdown is 2 one-bedroom units and 2 single-bedroom units.
2 one-bedroom and 2 single bedroom.
I'm sorry, two bedrooms and two one bedrooms.
Okay. So that would meet the requirement of an average of 1.5 units. Okay, okay. Thank you for the clarification.
On the parking, yeah, 16 is the number that goes both ways.
Yeah.
But essentially you're saying with 16 or fewer units, they could provide a fee in lieu of parking. I don't believe we have that set up.
Nope, we've talked about it, haven't gotten there yet.
Right.
I do want to point out that the commission reviewed parking in the last site plan review of this application and gave specific feedback that the applicant incorporated in to what is now being presented.
Those are the permeable pavers.
Yeah.
That Ellen referenced, isn't that correct, Zoe?
Yes, the surface for that part of the parking was made to be pervious. He did get fire marshal review and design advisory board review.
Any more discussion on this? I mean, honestly, we're shy by half a space. If you look at the parking calculations, you do have to round up because the total was 24.5.
Yep.
So
I think there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
What I would do is say, just because there is that documentation on the drawings, that states that it's a space deficient, we would necessarily have to deny it and go to ZBA, unless we were to provide a requirement for approval that they meet the parking requirement. I think there's a way that you can redistribute the lines and meet the intent of parking. It's just that with the documentation as submitted, it states that it's deficient.
I disagree. I think I'm looking at the bill. I don't think that we have that privilege or right to enforce that anymore.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was getting at. I don't think we have the right to do
I mean,
that.
what you're saying is correct. I'm not saying what you're saying is inaccurate. I'm just saying, I don't believe that we have the right to enforce that anymore. Which is the purpose of them putting it in the bill. I'm glancing at, I kind of see if there's a nod.
Yeah, yeah.
You say,
No, that's fair. That's fine.
1665.
That's fine.
yeah.
And again, if we have the stipulation that they meet the requirement for parking, if there is no requirement for parking, they've met the requirement.
Yeah, that's
And so without a clarification, I think that something explicit, I would tend to say that stipulation meet the parking. And if it's a matter of, redistributing the lines and carve out a space for an additional compact or bicycle or something, then, we could. So with that provision, I just have a hesitation to approve a set of drawings that states that it is deficient.
I agree. I do agree with that. So what we could do is give it a condition of approval because we're going to have to condition it on, we don't have to, but there are design advisory comments and those would be part of the condition of approval also.
Correct.
okay.
So if that makes you guys comfortable, that's something you would be willing to do. Look for a motion for that one.
Well, did anybody have any more comments then? For clarity, are we saying they need to leave that gravel or that the permeable pavers are sufficient as far as the coverage itself?
So if, in my opinion, I think you would have to leave it gravel because the new stormwater management manual states that if you're improving a site and less than 50% of it, you can't touch the site unless you put in stormwater.
Is that
So-
clear to the applicant, to the architect?
So the 50% was, I couldn't hear exactly that last comment.
So the stormwater management manual that came out for 2025 requires that if you are touching less than 50, I'm going to word this incorrectly,
Mm.
but the gist of it is if you touching less than 50% of the site, you cannot increase the impervious coverage unless you put in stormwater. So by even changing from gravel to pervious pavers, that's touching the site, you would have to put in stormwater. So you could put in stormwater or you could leave the parking gravel.
In stormwater, that means hooked up to the town.
No, that would be underground, like infiltration units.
Because I know there are currently catch basins on the site.
Yep, that's untreated. You have to treat for the first inch.
Okay. And the clause about pervious pavers only counting for less than
50%.
100%, is that in the zoning regs?
It's in the stormwater management manual.
Okay. Isn't that
The-
relative to the
Go
whole the
ahead.
procedural, the process of approvals, wouldn't that come at a later point?
No, so so if you were to do this and we did know so if you are going to touch the parking lot, we could submit it to our reviewing engineer's office and they would take a look at the stormwater management manual and you would have to prove that you're capturing first inch of runoff.
Mm,
You know, and they would have to design it to treat for the first inch,
right.
remove
But if we
suspended
left it as
solids.
is,
Yep.
then we wouldn't have to change anything and it would be approvable.
Yes, if you left it gravel, yes.
Okay.
I make a motion.
You make a motion.
I make a motion under the condition that the applicant understands what's required with the coverage, the permeable pavers, whether or not to use them, and takes into account the comments from design and review. That we pass this.
As well as parking count.
Oh, and parking count, yes. And
Clarification.
the condition of understanding the parking count, the coverage, and comments from design and review.
Okay. Second for that. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. Project approved. Okay, we are on to site plan application. Recycling volume reduction facility under section 43133 of the zoning regulations, 400 Commercial Drive. Is there an applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, where would you like us to present?
You got a pretty good voice. I think you're all right. Zoe, can you hear him okay?
So on this end?
Yeah, Chuck, you're very good at projecting.
Thank you, Zoe. Good evening, members of the commission and staff. My name is Chuck Anderson again. I'm here on behalf of the applicant Eastern Transfer Station LLC. With me also is our engineer, Mark Zesson, and Emma Bloom, also from the engineering company, our environmental lawyer, Brent Elliott, and our owners and operators, Dave Parati and Chris Oxen. Again, the site here is 400 Commercial Drive. It's 3.5 acres. It's in the commercial and industrial park district, where there is an existing approved recycling volume reduction facility on the site. And the application here is a site plan application essentially to amend the existing permit to allow acceptance of municipal solid waste as allowed under the current DEP permit. We were here on November 20th. We made a pretty thorough application. What I'd like to do, we don't have a whole lot more to do because I assume you've reviewed that. We did have a couple of additional information that we'd like to submit to the record. We put some stuff in, and I'd just like to ask Mr. Zesson if he can come forward. Yeah, okay. The first, both of these questions relate to fires on the site, which is an issue that it came up at the last proceeding. The first has to do with the issue of whether the fires had anything to do with municipal solid waste. Our contention is they did, because they are in the recycling area, which we already have the right to do. That we have more cause for that. So, Mr. Zesson, did the company conduct an investigation after the fires that occurred in 2025? Yes. did you determine where the location of the fires were, where they started?
Yes, both in the recycling areas, one specifically in the cardboard receiving area and the other one recyclables for stockpile.
Okay, and am I clear that the recyclables are something in construction demolition that are allowed under the existing permits as of 2005, 6, and 2008? Is that correct?
Yes,
So would you agree that the fires were wholly unrelated to the facility's treatment, processing, and packaging of municipal solid waste?
yes.
Okay. Next, I want to ask you about the tests undertaken by the town at Flatwood Pond after the fires. Do you know how far Flatwood Pond is from the site?
It's about 2,000 feet of water if you were to flow from the transfer station down to the pond.
Okay. I'm going to ask if you could maybe use the photograph that you have to explain the pathway of the runoff it would have to travel to get to the
I
pond.
just passed a couple of these. These are just Google Earth aerial photos. In the top right-hand corner of the photo is the transfer station. It says Eastern Transfer. I guess it's actually the bottom left. The other way. And the pond is up here at the top. This is Route 80. The predominant feature of the neighborhood is the quarry with their deep watering and wash ponds. So basically, from the end of the cul-de-sac where the Eastern Transfer Station is, the stormwater and site and any runoff from associated with fire goes through a series of catch basins. It comes to an oil, water, and sediment floatable removal chamber at the end of the cul-de-sac, down the cul-de-sac, then to a series of ponds, which basically flow from west to east, ultimately getting to the park by the ball field.
Thank you. Are you aware if the town undertook tests of Flatwood Pond following the fire events?
Yes, they did. The town had consultants undertake sampling after each of the events.
Have you reviewed those reports?
Yes, I did, as well as one of my cohorts, one of my other business partners who also does this stormwater. I do a lot of solid waste facilities, including stormwater at those facilities, but all he does basically is industrial stormwater work and municipal stormwater work under the state's MS4 program, state and federal MS4 program.
So you and your colleagues had the expertise to evaluate this test?
Yes.
Okay. And could you tell us in layman's terms, what were the interpretations that were found in the tests that were done at Flatwood Pond?
Our interpretation matches the town's consultant, Apex, who basically indicated that the runoff and the water quality of the pond were indicative of the background water quality. The water coming into the pond from this series of surface waters I discussed, as well as in the pond itself, are basically indicative of background water quality, which is reflective of storm water from both all the nearby streets as well as Route 80.
So there's no indication that this fire event had any additional pollution to the pond, is that correct?
That was Apex's conclusion, as was posted on the town website. We concur with that.
Was that surprising to you at all?
No, not based on the overall lay of the land in all the overall neighborhood in Route 80 and this being the most distant from that series of this being the transfer station is the most distant point basically in those series of basins from the.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Zesson. You can leave that with the.
Sure.
Just a few other questions. I don't know if it came up last time, but I know in the past the issue has been raised about pets. Mr. Oxer, excuse me, could you come forward, please? I wanted to. Are you involved in the operations of the facility now?
Yes,
And are you familiar with what pest control contractors use on the site?
yes.
Can you tell us who it is?
It's a Big Blue Bug.
And can you tell me what they do?
They come twice a month to manage any possible vector issues.
Okay, and are they on call if you find an
Nope,
issue?
if they're on call, should we find anything extra, but it's a steady twice a month.
Great. Okay, thank you, Mr. Officer. I know there are other questions. There's stuff about stuff falling off trucks. And which frankly is an issue could happen wherever the facility is located, I suppose. And I would point out that obviously we can't control independent contractors who are on the street and have their own rules to follow. Obviously, if they're leaving the site, we can regulate that. But I think my recollection of the evidence was that for MSW, those are enclosed trucks, that they are canisters, as opposed to C&D stuff where you just throw a tarp over it. And it's not to say that there haven't been occasions where things may be falling out of the truck, but I think that was the evidence. That's at least how the vehicle was transported. And I think that is all the additional evidence I wanted to go over. I do have a summation, and I did receive at 5:40 today a letter from Mr. Slater, which I'll address in my summation. Do you have any other questions for us?
Questions for them? Ready for your summation?
Okay, I'll proceed. Again, I think that we have an existing site. They were from 2005, 2006, 2008. That the use line that the existing facility was approved under in those years is the manufacture, fabrication, processing, compounding, treatment, assembly, and packaging of goods or products. That's how you approved it in 2006, 2008. And I believe in 2022, Mr. Slater, before you amended the regulation, said, yes, you can approve that. It falls within that category. And again, at that time, what the materials were recyclables, bulky waste, and construction demolition debris. I think in 2008, they increased the tonnage to 350 tons per day. I think I explained why this happened, because there's what I'm trying to rebut is the suggestion, we're trying to be sneaky, we're trying to pull one over. And I don't think that is at all the case. I think I tried to explain last time that the law on this is kind of mixed up in the air. Sometimes there's been periods where it's wholly within state jurisdiction, because this is not something they want to just delegate to towns, because towns would say, oh, but it's some other town. So, and there was this period in 2010, I think it was, where a court had ruled that no, there is no local jurisdiction at all, which by the way is some sort of reassurance. It means that this is heavily regulated by DEEP. And if you have a problem today, you can call DEEP and say, hey, they're violating the permit, and they'll investigate us, and they have. So that is, it's not like you need to step in and do a bunch of regulation on this. And so that's what they said. And that was the same time they applied for their first DEEP permit. And at that time, they didn't have to apply for the local permit. But it turns out the law changed, and they should have applied, and they didn't. And then, I guess, former owner, and that was an oversight. I think that's what I'm saying. And we came to the town when we bought this in 2019. We came to the town and said, hey, use our site. Use our site for C&D and MSW. And you don't do that if you're trying to pull one over. You say, hey, town, come. And we did. We thought that in good faith, and we had some good faith reasons for doing that. We did get a certificate of zoning compliance where you said there were no known zoning violations in the site. So you guys didn't know about it then, I guess. And also the town used it. I put that in the evidence. You guys use it. Then it came to our attention that you didn't get the local permit. So what we're trying to do is simply fix that to kind of get us so we can continue doing what's been going on for the last 10 years. So and we're in litigation now. I mean, we went to there was a cease and desist, a notice of violation, appeal to the ZBA, and frankly, that's not surprise. This is important to our business. We potentially can't survive if we don't have it. So if you were in our position, would you contest it? Of course you would. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to try to work with you, because you did say, hey, come on back. So I'm trying to, that was my logic. Okay, come on back. How do we come back? How was it approved initially? And so forth. And so I'll go through what I said last time, and I'll try to address Mr. Slater's comments in connection with that. And that's the use question. And I think the use is allowed under the regulation. It's 4.333 and 72.1. Again, light manufacturing, fabrication, processing, compounding, treatment, assembly and maintenance, and repair of goods. Again, that's how the existing use is proposed. It's not a different use. It's a different waste stream, but it's not an expansion of the facility. It's just a different waste stream, and your regulations contemplated that a different waste stream would need a modification. That's essentially what we're trying to do. But the use is the same. So, and again, like I said, Mr. Slater agreed to that before you amend the regulations. It does come with that. The rub is, and this is where Mr. Slater's letter addresses that, is that in 2024, you adopted regulations that also specifically regulated municipal solid waste. So what you have is two regulations under which they can come, which is not an unusual situation. There are many situations in towns, and I saw some other examples in your regulations that I thought, well, that could fit under, you have a membership club or a private outdoor recreational facility, and I can see that's what someone proposing could come within either of that. Animal facilities and animal daycare facilities, you have distinctions, but some use may be able to come under both of those. It's not unusual, just because of the nature when you categorize things, for things to be able to slip into different categories. So, and I agree that one is more specific than the other. But I also have to say that your regulations don't say that where two regulations cover a use, the more specific one applies, because some regulations do. One from Stratford says where a use or activity may fall within one or more principal use categories listed, the more specific category description applies. And then, and a lot of times, and I looked in your regulations, is there anything that says that? And the answer is no. So what I'm saying, my argument, this is a preview, you go to court, is that what you're doing is you're inserting, if that's your interpretation, that one is more than specific than the other, you're writing something in the regulations that isn't there. The normal rule is that zoning regulations are in derogation of common law, and that when there's any ambiguity, you interpret them in favor of the property. And without you having said that the more specific one applies, or even in this one, this applies over anyone else. You could have said that, you didn't. They both apply. And that therefore it comes within the category. So that's the one argument on that. The other argument I've made is that you got to interpret it that way, because otherwise it's not allowed anywhere under the new regulations. And that's because of your regulations contain the provision that the lot where you locate a solid waste facility must be 250 feet from a residential lot or a lot in which a dwelling is located. It can't be. And so you do have, that's in your regulations. There's only 10 lots in the TID. None of them can satisfy that. Each one of those properties is within a lot, within 250 feet of a lot where a dwelling is located. Now, I did see, again, at 5:40 today, Mr. Slater did send me his opinion letter. I would note that there are a few errors there that I think he indicates on page 4 that the applicant is the owner of lots 2 and 3 in the screenshot. The correct one is we're the owner. That's on page 10.
No, it's lot 2, not 2 and 3, right?
No, it's lot 4.
Oh, it's lot 4. Okay.
It's lot 4. It's 41 Main Street.
Yeah, I just wrote, just didn't mean to interrupt. It's my understanding. I didn't.
Okay, yeah, no,
anecdotal, and I don't even think it matters to my opinion, but go ahead.
Absolutely. So I just want to point that out. I would also point that this report, we submitted 2 reports on the separation distance issue. The one was, and Mr. Slater, this graphic is from November 20th, but there was an earlier one from November, and this was a supplemental report, and it's labeled that. It says this letter is an added amendment to our previous letter, and Mr. Slater doesn't discuss the previous letter. And the previous letter points other properties that show where this 250-foot separation distance rules out the other properties. So that, I'm just pointing that, he didn't say that. But as I understand what Mr. Slater says, is that he's not disputing that all of the properties in the zone are within 250 feet of another property, are with a dwelling, that none of them can satisfy that. What his argument seems to be, as I understand it, that, well, what someone could do is acquire those properties acquire the properties and take down the house or reconfigure the lot lines. So therefore, if you do that, then, that'll eliminate the 250-foot separation problem. You'll just buy the other house, the property, knock down the house, or change the lot lines, or do something like that. That's his argument. To me, that is a very implausible argument. That, in my mind, first of all, you take the conditions as they are at the time of the application. You don't invent hypothetical conditions that someone may or may not do. That also assumes that private parties have the right of condemnation. In other words, we can just acquire another lot. No, we can't unless someone voluntarily sells it. We can't force anyone to sell their property to us. The facts remain that there is no property in this zone that is not within 250 feet of a dwelling. And that doesn't get you out of it. I think I'm good with that argument in court, but that's what your counsel said, and that's why frankly, I disagree with it. So,
Ask you which lot you were. You're number 2.
We're number 4.
Number 4.
And I mentioned this last time, but I don't think if you actually look at the substantive requirements of the zone, there's not a lot in the new ones that aren't in the existing one. The main thing your existing one requires is to we have to enclose the buildings. So we have to get doors for all the facilities, which is an expense. And I agree, we have to do that under the existing regulations. And we're doing that, and we propose that. I want to close with a few observations about our current site and the suggestion about moving to the TIP zone. Our site has been operating as a solid waste reduction facility for about 20 years. In the last 10 years, the site, again, we didn't own it all that time, we've been accepted MSW. The surrounding uses in the district are classic manufacturing or industrial businesses. I'll just name a few of them. East Coast Precision Manufacturing, which is a plastic fabrication company. Redux International Organization, machinery manufacturer. Full Pen Fabrications LLC, they submitted a letter in favor. A metal manufacturer. TriMed Advanced Manufacturing, also manufacturer, a sign shop. Obviously, the biggest activity here is the quarry. You can see it on the thing there, but in that, has its own stacking issues and so forth. But, and we're within half a mile of the town transfer station. We're in a very ruralish area. So if stuff falls off the truck, is it better there than elsewhere? I want to contrast that with the TIP zone, where I understand that you're encouraging this use where we own an 8-acre property, and that's as lot 4. I looked at your most recent PLCD, which was an excellent document. I think you worked on it, you adopted it starting last year. And first of all, it recognizes that waste management is a regional issue. It's not, you're not trying to hide the ball on that. I think that's proper. And then I understand what PLCDs are generally trying to do. I sit on the zoning commission myself. And that we're trying to do is encourage economic development, support existing businesses, but try to nudge things certain ways that you think are better for the town. On the other hand, I think all of you know that what gets built, what happens, often happens apart from anything you guys do sitting in there. It can happen organically. And I thought what I liked was the observation that you made in your PLCD, and I'll just read this on page 39. Additionally, some recent industry shifts have occurred organically in town in the form of what could become an arts district in the Turnpike Industrial Zone. Leaning into and supporting emergencies that are already being led by business owners and local customers can help build a broader attraction. And then you show a picture of a storefront, and here's the caption. It says, "Picture a view from the Turnpike Industrial Zone." This strip of buildings currently includes an art gallery, an artist collective, a studio that offers art classes for all ages, a live music vendor, and an instrument store that offers music lessons. And I know that's on a big property, but that strip is across the street from our property where we own the 8 acres where you've suggested is a great place to put a regional transfer facility. I think I'm just pointing that out as because when the obvious, and again, I'm an outsider. I'm just coming in here, looking where we are now, looking what's there, where we've been existing for a while, where we continue to exist, and I think it's been okay. Our goal, I mentioned that we do have pending litigation. There could be more litigation in the future. The town's orders, frankly, threaten our ability to conduct our business. So of course, we're going to contest things. I gave the etymology. I'm trying to find a way to resolve this to everyone's benefit. So, if anyone, you're in our position, I think you'd be acting the same way. I appreciate that the town has made suggestions. Move it to the other site. The problem is that building a new site at 481 Main Street would likely cost millions of dollars, would take 5 to 10 years to build. We don't know whether we can get the permits. Deep permits require 5 years. And frankly, we don't know if there's a demand for it at this point. Our site is a fairly small site, and Mark can tell you about what most of them are like in the state. There are a lot. Is that correct, Mark?
Relatively speaking, yes.
Yes. So the site on the 8-acre site, again, that's our site is 3.8, it's a smaller site. Would be bigger, it would be regional, and we don't know if we're ready to go that. It's the new site would be a larger regional facility, and frankly, we don't know if it would be viable. If we were going to do that, if that were a certainty, we could talk about it. We could talk about moving all the MSF, but we're simply not there yet. We're simply not there. We may never be. I don't know whether it'll be happening. Trying to be frank with you, what we're trying to do is simply be able to exist as we currently existed for the last 10 years. Our preference is not to do that through litigation. It costs everyone, and Ken and I benefit from that, but everyone else loses. It's just to continue what we've been doing. We're a business in town. We think we provide a valuable and needed service. We pay taxes, and we want to stay as a viable business, which again, I don't think we can do if we can't do this. We're spending significant funds to the site by adding doors to the facility, and I think we do a good job. Remember what your public works director said? Quote, I have an outstanding relationship with Eastern Transfer Station for as long as I've been in Deep River. Eastern has always exhibited a willingness to assist the town whatever we need. I've been to a lot of waste facilities. I can confidently say Eastern Transfer is among the best in the business. This is the guy in the town that deals with us most. We want to continue to work with the town. The town is a current customer. You bring our C&D waste there. And frankly, our rate to the town is lower than general commercial rates. So that's the goal. That's why I'm here. We're hoping we find some way to approve something so we can go forward. So we respectfully request that you approve our application so we can continue to be a good citizen and good economic development in the town. Thank you.
Discussion?
Mr. Chair, could I just overview because
Yeah.
Mr. Attorney Andrews mentioned a couple times that my opinion didn't come in till this late this afternoon, and he didn't get it till early this evening. I approached looking, I read, was here when he made his presentation before, read his letter, and just approached it just absolutely neutrally about, do the regulations, how do I interpret the regulations? Would this be permissible as a site plan use under the existing regulations? Attorney Andrus had, I'm going to weave in overviewing my opinion as well as some response to what you've heard tonight, so I can try to kill two birds with one stone. The position that he was taking was that you have a category of, I'll just call it a manufacturing category of use that describes that if you are processing materials is the kind of use that this was originally permitted. The MSW waste stream was not. The original permit said that if there was going to be additional waste streams, you'd have to come back for your approval. You'd have discretion at that time under special permit standards in terms of what kind of waste streams might work at a particular location or not. And so before the adoption of the regulations specifically intended to deal with solid waste facilities, the panoply of manufacturing, processing type operations that could fall under the list that's under section 33 of or part 33 of the schedule of uses for this particular zone could have included MSW. You wouldn't have, when it was a special permit use, you wouldn't have been obligated to permit it, but you could have. So that Attorney Andrus is correct. That was my view. But now the regulations need to be interpreted as a whole. After you did adopt regulations that very specifically define solid waste facilities, volume reduction, recycling, et cetera. And in the schedule of uses, you have a very specific one that lists where this particular kind of facility can go. And you have identified the zone, which is the subject to the second part of your opinion, where the use could be permitted at two zones, including this property where it is prohibited. So I agree with Attorney Andrus that when there's ambiguity, Connecticut takes the position that because the zoning is in derogation of private property rights, any ambiguity gets interpreted in favor of the property owner. There's an equally important rule that this is a legislative act that the court is, if the court was going to look at this, and what I did in looking at this was to try, you're supposed to try to give effect to all of the language of the regulations and give them all meaning. So the kind of regulation that Attorney Andrus was talking about, where you have, sometimes you might have a whole list of manufacturing uses or a whole list of retail uses, and you have a use that really can fit into more than one category. Some regulations will say when it fits into more than one, the most restrictive one applies, and then you're stuck with the more restrictive one. I don't think that's the scenario that we have here. It isn't that there's multiple uses where this could fit as a permitted use. You've got a category, sort of the Venn diagram of manufacturing type operations that could be permitted under 33. But then you've carved out of that, in my view, a use which might have otherwise been permitted under 33, which you've specifically defined and in the language of the section very specifically say where it's permitted and where it's not. And if it was permitted under 33, then the section of the table of uses referring to the solid waste facility would be rendered a nullity. And the section of the regulations dealing with solid waste facilities that specifically say which zones it could go in and which ones won't would also be a nullity. So I think the way to interpret them all together would be, if you've got it, if you had the general list, if you have something that falls under the general use, it can be permitted under 33. But if your commission decides to take something that might fit under that general criteria and apply special criteria to it, define it, and put a specific additional requirements on it, that those have to be given effect. And that's why I believe that the regulations do not authorize the use as a site plan use as the regulations are written right now. Now, the second issue that is really deals with a statutory interpretation that would ordinarily, I think, be applied by a court, which deals with the whole issue of whether or not local commissions have any jurisdiction over solid waste facilities. There was that Hamden case. The Superior Court had made a ruling that that DEEP has exclusive authority over those facilities and local zoning has none. The legislature stepped in and created a statute that said that, well, in fact, you do have the authority to regulate, but nothing in this chapter, and I'm reading from 22A 208B, which was referenced by Attorney Anderson, also in mine. It says nothing in the chapter shall be construed to limit the right of a municipality to regulate through zoning, land use, for an existing or new solid waste facility. No municipal regulation adopted pursuant to section 8.2 shall have the effect of prohibiting the construction, alteration, or operation of solid waste facilities within the limits of a municipality. So he's asserting that maybe your regulations run afoul of that last provision, that you'd have the effect of prohibiting it. I reached the conclusion that you don't. Your regulations specifically authorize it. And I'll draw an analogy. When you adopt zoning in the first place, you could be in a community where you had literally no industry at all. You had the entire town was devoted strictly to residential, and there are some towns that are like that. And you decide you want to have a base for some kind of industry, manufacturing, commercial, retail, what have you. You take a part of the town where there's homes, and you adopt a regulation, and you say, this is the area, this is going to be our technology zone, or our industrial zone, or our, your retail zone, whatever it is. And there's a bunch of small lots containing homes on it. But you create the use that's allowed in that zone would include a shopping mall or retail facility, big box facilities, and you specifically authorize it. Someone would have to go acquire a bunch of properties and would knock down homes and combine properties in order to establish the use. That has to happen, but that doesn't mean the use is prohibited simply because what's existing when you adopted the rule were places where there's homes. You've identified an area in the community where you believe this use should be permissible. And you adopted a regulation, and I noted in my letter, I didn't see anything where the location of housing was on the record, anything that would suggest that you were sort of, Attorney Anders was talking that they're not trying to do anything to pull the rug out, under the town. And I've not heard anything where you've suggested that they are. And conversely, I didn't see anything about you're adopting that regulation that you were putting that 250-foot buffer from residential properties was intended as an aha. We're going to do this so that you can't legitimately locate those facilities. So you can, a property owner who was amassing some property in there or acquired property in that zone, who sees that there's an aspect of the regulation that's problematic, they can come back to this commission and they could get an amendment to it. You can do it on your own. But even if there isn't one, nothing stops a property owner in the same situation as I've described before, where the commission has made a determination, a legitimate bona fide determination that this is an appropriate place for a particular use. The fact that when you made that determination, there are some uses that would need to be addressed. Property would have to be acquired. Some adjustments might have to be made. I point out one of the lots that's on there with respect to the dwelling that was discovered right in the middle of it. They could be a lot line adjustment might be able to solve that. But there might be a whole host of ways that properties could be combined and acquired so that the facility could be located. But to look at your regulations and say that there's an intent to prohibit the solid waste facilities in the town of Deep River, I disagree with. And so for those reasons, I found that, or determined, I'm not even sure that you yourselves can declare that your regulations are in violation of the statute. I think that's something the courts would do. But I think that there's a good position in your support that you have actually authorized the use and that there's a way that it can be demonstrated. And if there was an opportunity with this applicant to do something in that area, I know the commission has indicated earlier that it would welcome it. So that's essentially an overview of my review of the regulations and in small part a response to some of the things that were said tonight.
I have two questions before we end. So the way I'm reading this is they came back with a site plan approval, and when this was approved, it was a special exception or special permit. And that the way back in was through another special permit. Even though it's changed to site plan approval, the original approval was a special exception. And if they wanted to modify it, they would have to come back with a special exception.
Well, what they're advocating for is right now, if something falls under the 33 use, it's a site plan use now. When the original approval came in, it was a special exception use. So their position now is that section 33 should be read essentially independent of the solid waste regulations that you've adopted. And so that's only a site plan use, and it should be permitted under there. I interpret it together with your solid waste regulations and say that it's not a site plan use. So it really doesn't hinge on the fact that it used to be a special permit use.
And then the other thing I just wanted to add for my own edification is that we pointed out that it was lot number 4, which is adjacent to a solid waste facility, which is in Essex. It's not in Deep River, but it also doesn't stop. It was 8 acres, I believe. There's nothing stopping that from being split into multiple properties. And that could get you away from the error that we had with the residential unit. Anyway, any other questions for Ken or discussion? motion.
Get
Yep, I got Fred, but it's not a public hearing, so I can't.
I am on kind of an adjoining property owner, however.
I know I can't because it's not a public hearing.
Is there going to be a public hearing on this?
For site plan approval, no.
Yeah. But after that, is there going to be one?
This is up for a vote tonight, so.
So I guess anyone that lives along the route where these trucks thunder by with Jake brakes and speed.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Can I just address your last point, Mr. Chairman? Yep. The first report we wrote indicates there's a dwelling unit, an actual house, also on lot 11, which is across the street. So to the frontage of lot 4 is within 250 feet of lot 11. But we have to make a house a lot with no frontage to not be within 250 feet of lot 11.
Yep, right through an easement. Understood. More discussion?
Yeah, I guess so. There's one, I mean, I think the argument is that it's cost prohibitive or procedurally difficult to make a lot comply. And yet a zoning decision is not based on financial viability and profitability is not a hardship in a zoning. It has to do with compatibility of uses. So in regard to the lots, I agree. It is difficult, but it's also a use that is incompatible with a lot of other uses. So it's appropriate that it's a difficult dive. I think the argument was made that this application would say that they can continue to use property as it's been used for the past 20 years under the original approval. But it's actually a request to expand the use and not just in capacity, but in the type of material. I think the point was made previously in the definition has to do with goods and services. And by definition, this facility is transferred. There is no material change in material like you would in a recycling material, which recycling facility that creates a usable product to it. So in that regard, that my position would be that it's not a continuity of the same use. It is a different use, including intensity. But the basis of the decision, from my perspective, is compatibility with other uses, of which, again, the 250 foot distance was really to protect different uses in proximity, so that the specific nature of this proposed facility doesn't impact the quality, enjoyment, value of other existing properties. So my position would be that this is in fact a change of use, and that use that is being proposed was, in my opinion, never an allowable use, because it does not have to do with goods or services.
Ed? Not, still looking for a motion.
I would make a motion to deny the application.
Second. Oh,
Any more discussion on this motion? Not, I'm just gonna do a roll call vote. So, Lisa?
I agree. Deny.
Okay, I think you stand your second. So, Daniel?
Aye.
And Sarah?
Aye.
I agree. All right, so. That's it for that one. Okay, we're on to,
Mr. Chair, you throwing me out now?
I'm throwing you out.
Yeah, so I think-
I'll give you guys a minute to clean out. I feel like a couple
Oh,
people.
for the sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Some of you don't have to right now.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Why is stuff over here? Yeah, it's fine. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Ken. See you.
Good seeing you. So
You? Right. That's it. You can still hear it in 5 minutes.
So you know.
Okay, on to item 5, new business. Item A is a request to submit a special permit application for Yoga Retreat Center, 135 Kirtland Street, map 61, lot 7 and 2. I don't have my glasses on. Charisma. Katie,
Yeah, that's me.
okay, please.
Hey there. So I submitted a letter. I can just go ahead and read that.
Please.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
It's really a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for taking the time. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and. My name is Karishma Kadian. I live in Lyme. I moved here a couple years ago, and I kind of surreptitiously or fortuitously found out about this Mount St. John School, which I know everybody here is familiar with. And I have a plan for it. I would very much like to acquire it and transform it into a yoga retreat center. So I can go ahead and just read the letter that I wrote. Stand up. It's my pleasure to introduce myself to the town of Deep River. My name is Karishma Kadian. I've submitted an offer for the purchase of Mount St. John School located at 135 Kirtland Street in Deep River. I visited the property a dozen times since August 2024. It is a remarkable structure, and I plan to rehabilitate this architectural treasure. I would like to transform it from a boarding school into an upscale wellness hospitality business, offering yoga and meditation instruction, nature immersion, nutritional and cooking instruction, and other holistic teachings. There will also be an emphasis on the arts, as art therapy workshops will be offered, along with the establishment of an artist in residence program. Classes will be taught by in-house teachers, as well as world-renowned visiting faculty. The Yoga Retreat Center will also offer yoga teacher trainings for aspiring teachers and teachers maintaining their Yoga Alliance registration. I believe that the project is suited for such an adaptive reuse. My architect and general contractor have visited the property many times with me. Sustainable building practices and renewable energy will be emphasized in the renovation. My architect has prepared an initial set of plans for these proposed renovations, capturing my vision for the future of the property. The plans provide for 30 guest rooms and a maximum occupancy of 48 overnight guests in phase 1. The curriculum is offered on a weekly basis, so guests will stay in 1 week increments with Sunday morning check-in and check-outs. Sunday morning check-outs and evening check-ins. On the weekends, up to an additional 40 students may register to attend workshops and classes as commuters. 3 buffet-style meals will be served daily. It is an immersive experience, and guests will primarily spend the entirety of their time at the Yoga Retreat Center. Children are not permitted, alcohol will not be served, recreational drug use is not permitted, no psychedelic drug therapy is going to be offered. The business is forecasted to generate millions of dollars in revenue, in line with the commitment to economic growth and job creation emphasized in the town's POCD for 2025 to 2035. An estimated 40 jobs will be created. Visitors will also patronize local businesses through their presence, although it will not be overwhelming, as the yoga retreat will offer an immersive experience. As the guests are transient, they will not put a strain on the resources of the town, the school, fire department, etc. I believe that the center will be consistent with the vision in the POCD for economic growth and development, including redevelopment, protection of natural resources, and creation of educational, recreational, and cultural activities. The yoga center will attract visitors, making Deep River a destination. without changing the bucolic and peaceful nature of the town. It is this serenity and natural beauty that makes the town an ideal location for this business. The property is currently zoned R60, which is low-density residential. The intended use as contemplated by this business are not expressly permitted under the R60 zoning. However, I believe that consistent with R60, the intended use will preserve the rural open space character and protect the physical and environmental amenities of the area. I don't plan to build any additional structures on the property. I only plan to renovate and restore the current buildings. Renovations will occur in phases due to the extremely large size of the former school. Phase 1 would entail the renovation of the original historic building. Later phases include the possibility of renovating the 1992 addition, potentially increasing the total capacity to 108 guests. However, the timing and possibility of later phases is undetermined at this time. The business will operate within the current footprint of the former school. Conservation and stewardship of the land and environment are of paramount importance. For anyone who's familiar with the Yukon Master Gardener program, I'm currently enrolled so that I can learn more about such matters. Therefore, I would like to respectfully request that the committee grant permission to submit a special permit application to allow for the intended use discussed in this letter under special exceptions listed under R60. For example, the educational institutions and bed and breakfast facilities permitted uses. I further request that the commission, in their discretion pursuant to 4.15F of the regulations, determine that such proposed uses that are not specifically permitted are substantially similar to those that are permitted under the regulations. Thank you.
So I just wanted to reiterate, you said that you teach how many different types of things there? So basically this is almost a school with a bit of a bed and breakfast.
Yes, exactly. And sort of a camp.
Well, so no, what I'm getting at is that it's been a school.
Yeah.
It may
I
not
know.
need a special exception.
Sorry?
I said I'm just brainstorming with the commission to see if it was a school before, and if there's no change in use, it might not need a special exception.
Well, yeah, so when I looked at the Department of Buildings website, there are some documents there, previous correspondence and permits. And it appears that the school had been opened at a time when there wasn't planning and zoning, right? So a lot of these activities had been grandfathered in. So to the extent that there is any gray area and clarification needed, I suppose I'd submit the special permit application, but to the extent it's not necessary or that it's consistent with prior use.
It's consistent with prior use.
That's why I'm throwing it.
It may be.
Well, what's the maybe? If somebody came to open another exact kind of school without the educational components of yoga, would it then be a maybe? Or what makes it a maybe?
I think by definition, it was introduced as a hospitality use. That is a component. It's not just a boarding school. So I think it may very well be within interpretation, but I would not jump to a conclusion that is, without studying the former or existing use and the nuances of the proposed use that it is in fact the same. I think it has potential to be. It has an educational component, big component.
They can't hear you. Basically, he's saying that he thinks his interpretation is that it should come back for special exception.
Because of the hospitality component, that's what makes it different. That's answered my question is, well, what's the maybe? And thank you.
Right. And because there may be other, again.
Learn every day.
There's a lot of, there may be commerce components. I'm not saying that they're incompatible, but it will require some, I think some study and deliberation.
That's true, because the guests will be staying overnight, right? And paying on a per night basis, which does include the classes as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's why it's kind of like a camp, I think is a
And
good
it's-
analogy.
Again, it's close, and it doesn't mean it has to be exactly the same thing, but we just need to be careful because it is not an allowed use as of right. Yeah.
Something to do with things.
So you're aware of that. I think you've got.
Right. You got it, so I can read it.
And this is very early. My lawyer is actually dialed in. I'm working with Birch and Moses, who I'm familiar with that firm. And my architect is dialed in too, but I told them they didn't need to come tonight because this is just the first.
Right,
steps.
right.
Well, so we're just getting consensus to see if you come back for a special exception. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are open to that. She could submit an application, we could see it and see if it fits.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't dig into our regulations enough to see what is permissible as a special exception.
There you go.
I hope you can read that one.
Do you have the adult print size version?
We're gonna bring that 24 by 36 next time.
Are you anticipating I was gonna say something?
Mistakes happen for a reason.
That's all right.
The pencil's your edition.
Yes, I did that a
Made
couple
notes?
days ago when I printed it out.
Yeah, and so. Is that campuses by special exception?
Mhm.
We're missing that. It's again, it's a matter of, we need to see this full model by getting the presentation. It fits several categories that are considered under special exception.
Yeah,
I'm just the one.
I'm a lawyer. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. That's
Yes.
fine. I completely understand. That makes sense.
I'm also reading the law.
Oh, really?
All right, so the consensus is that she can submit a special exception under a few of these.
Yeah, I think so. I think.
Okay. Okay, we don't actually have to vote on that because it's not an actual application. So we will see you when you get your application together. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is a site plan application for light manufacturing, fabrication, assembly of products, 12 Bridge Street, map 56, lot 25, applicants Chapco. And Zoe, can we act on this tonight or is this up next month?
Site plans can be acted on tonight. I believe they should have somebody here. I don't know. if
Oh,
they're-
sorry about that.
I did
Okay.
get confirmation from wetlands today that they have nothing that they would require. So they have wetlands approval.
Okay. Okay, if you just give us the skinny on what you're looking for, what's going on?
Absolutely. So looking to move into 12 Bridge Street, light manufacturing, so laser cutting, punching, bending, welding, and assembly.
And so, is it just the highlighted in yellow part? Are you using the whole downstairs at the moment or just a portion of it?
The whole downstairs and the basement.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
All right.
Nothing yet on the second, third, and fourth floor.
Any exterior changes?
No.
Except for the signage.
Yes. Yes, and that was submitted as well.
I think he has an approval for that, right? Because
Yeah,
that's a administrative approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the signage is administrative, and I've connected them with Dan Batt for the DAB. So before I sign off on it, it'll be going to the design advisory board, but they split it up so they could get the site plan reviewed by you all, since that's not administrative.
Okay.
And I believe we submitted all the pictures of the signage to the Dan.
Yes.
Okay.
It looks like all your sign is kind of in-kind replacement.
Exactly. Yeah, some of the stickers and some, full replacement, but the sign in the front of the building, exact same size as what's there now.
Cool. All right. Questions?
Yeah. Was there verification? And I know it's being replaced in kind, but did we confirm that the existing signage is in conformance with the restriction on the sizes that are allowed? Just because it exists doesn't mean it's compliant. So there are size regulations on the size, on the signage. I didn't see any dimensions on them. You should just check it.
That's
In
a,
terms of the use, it's basically
right.
same use, change of occupant, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Okay.
I have
Alright.
a question.
Shoot.
I just was wondering what the hours were gonna be, your hours of operation.
Standard hours are gonna be 7 in the morning till 2 in the morning, Monday through Thursday, and Friday will be 7 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. We run a, first shift is 7 to 3:30, and second shift is 3:30 till 2 in the morning, 4 days a week.
Any more questions? Not looking-
Is there any noise associated with the processing that'd be different that, you know, the previous manufacturing there was plastics? And
What was there?
Yeah,
We
like-
have a punching machine,
punching and, yeah.
but it's located right in the middle of the factory.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, from my perspective, that would be the only concern if it's if the actual fabrication or manufacturing had a noise component, because you do have neighbors, residential neighbors, so it'd be a matter of containing that, but I mean, obviously there's ways to do that design wise, but that would be a, so if the fabrication was substantially different, that it did generate noise or just traffic, I assume that your material conveyance isn't going to require, 30 semi trucks every day. Is that your production run?
No.
We'll get there.
So
Exactly.
what would be the, is it the kind of shipping and delivery kind of operations?
There's probably a flatbed every other day delivering material. Box truck.
Yep.
So most of the deliveries, so 24-foot standard box truck.
So nothing different than what's really existing at the site.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. And we're coming from our metal fab's been at Denlar Drive in Chester.
Yep.
So right amongst
Yep.
residential neighborhood.
Yep.
So, and we've survived there for I think 64 years, 62 years.
I'm asking questions, but I'm really saying welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Right?
Thank you. We're excited.
Okay. Any more questions? If not, the motion. I'll make the motion to approve. For a second?
Second.
I'm gonna say one other thing, Tanner. With the checking in the sign dimensions to fit. Gotcha. You know, second? Okay. All in favor?
I
Any opposed? All right. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right, on to, where are we? See, special permit application, ag, road tourism activities, 362 West Elm Street, map 42, lot 4. Applicant James Dewey, is that how you say it? I'm sorry. But that is just to set a public hearing for the following March, February meeting, February. For a motion?
Make the motion to accept. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Okay, on to commission election of officers for 2026. I don't even know who was the secretary last time, so. Does Jonathan?
It was out, wasn't it?
What's that?
It was out this time.
Did you step down as secretary? That's one.
Was it Jonathan?
Was it Jonathan? Okay.
Jonathan.
I think it was on.
I get confused.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
not me, and it can't be me, so that's.
Why not?
Because I am currently working with the Main Street Accelerator
Oh,
program
here we
based
go.
on your, and then it looks like that's gonna be a bit more time consuming than was originally presented to me. But it's cool. It's gonna be exciting.
All right.
It'll be really exciting.
Well, how about that? I mean, we need some nominations here. I will go one more year for the chairman if you guys would have me. If not, somebody else can.
Yeah, I nominate you.
Yeah.
You nominate you. Tony, you're our man.
I
consider yourself had.
Yes.
So Lisa was the vice chair. I'm assuming she's not getting out of that, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we still need a secretary. Anyone? I mean, you're really not doing much.
No, what are the, do we have like a definition of the role of secretary?
Yeah, sometimes you have to read stuff. I mean, that's.
I've never, and I've never heard Jonathan read anything, so
Yeah.
I nominate Sarah.
Yeah, you're not getting out of it.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
If she wants.
Wow.
That went well.
Remember that?
We gotta keep this moving along here.
Used to take a minute. What else do we have? Is that it? Just
No, we got
bus?
we got a ton of,
No,
yeah,
no, I
oh,
mean, just for officers?
yeah, I mean, you wanna add more people?
No.
All right.
Very much left.
Okay, the elections are done. Planning and Zoning Commission 2026 meeting schedule. You all have a chance to look at this. This is the new meetings for Wednesday. So we moved it from Thursday to Wednesdays each month at 6 o'clock instead of 7.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I'm gonna give Stan 30 seconds to.
Yes.
Okay, anybody opposed? Wait, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, we also have the Deep River Land Use Commissions meeting. So those are quarterly. We just meet with, try to meet with people from all the commissions. They don't always show up, like yesterday when I forgot about ours. And so anyway, you guys are okay with this? Motion to
Okay
approve?
with it, if you're okay with it.
All in
I'll
favor?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. One more thing. We need to review the bylaws. We're supposed to do that. And then last time we talked about something and Alan said remove it and I forgot what it was. Alan, how's your memory?
Who?
That's what I thought. Oh, you know what it was? Is the dates in here. We have to take the date out.
Article 4,
Yeah,
meetings, page 5, section 4.1.
right. So it says held on third Thursdays of, so we just take that part right out? Or just change it to the new date? New Wednesdays.
I don't think you need to even have it in the bylaws.
Okay.
Because it's just it's a procedural thing and not a governance thing.
So leave the part that says the commission shall file in the office of the town clerk a schedule
That's correct.
for the year on or before the first day of January. And then take out the rest of it.
Okay,
That allows us to change the meeting dates without having to change our bylaws.
right, exactly what Lisa just said.
I
Yeah, but I
would
don't-
just repeat what Lisa says.
The secretary thing is in there.
Here, would you like this copy so you know what we did?
No, we need to know what you crossed out.
Oh, but she's a secretary.
Oh, that's right.
Jeez.
All
There you
right.
go.
This is why you should be in
Yeah.
charge. Okay, all in favor of removing that?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. On to report, CEO. Zoe, what do you got?
You're on mute, Zoe.
She's getting back on.
She's done.
Pure joy.
It's a long.
I hopefully am getting an assistant soon, which will make managing moving applications along and constant neighbor complaints easier so that I can actually do all the parts of my job. So that's all.
I was gonna say FOI requests.
We're
I,
going to,
for the record, have provided everything that I possibly could. So, and I've also been in communication with the FOI commissioner, whoever, to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. So they can bring me to the FOI people if they want.
You're doing fine, Zoe.
Doing great.
Were you gonna mention, the 8002 and how?
Yeah, I'm gonna mention that when we get to reg review. But if you have anything that you wanna talk about.
Excellent.
Yes, that slipped in there. All right, sorry, Zoe.
Okay, anything for zoning enforcement? If not, on to regulation discussion. That's also you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna close this. So Right now, I have just put this into a little spreadsheet that I think just so we can start organizing and going section by section. As I did this, I started to just make note of some relevant discussion areas and topics. And I know that the last time we talked about this, which feels like forever ago since we didn't have a December meeting, we wanted to kind of go through this systematically and not at random so that nothing gets kind of lost as we go through it. The only thing that's going to throw a wrench in that is that there are certain things. There's at least one thing that needs to be adopted based on House Bill 8002 by July 1st. So that will have to take priority. But I'll have some more. It's about allowing residential uses in commercial zones. So I'll have more details for you all in February for that meeting for us to really have a actual discussion with that background. So I'm still working on. I went to a meeting this week with RiverCog and all of the regional zoning officers reviewing some like initial analysis and questions regarding HB 002. As I think all of you already know, it's a very robust bill. So I'm actually going to another half day long like presentation and CCAPA is hosting it that to answer questions and really like dig into some of the most pressing things. So after that, I'll be able to really guide you all on what really needs to be done, especially for the July 1 deadline, and then also as we do this more in-depth reg review. So this was just my way of starting to organize. I was thinking, and I'm open to feedback so that we can do this in a way that feels as organized as possible, that we can always make new tabs for each section. For not all of the sections, I don't think every single one is going to warrant that much of a review, especially like title purposes and jurisdiction. I don't, maybe we can read over it and make sure it's all good still, but if anything, it's probably like, oh, that is grammatically weird. Whereas some of these other sections, it'll be good to break it down further, especially when we get into definitions or really looking at use tables, and some of those standards that relate to specific uses. So I think what I would love to do right now is kind of take a I want to hear from you all about what you think will be the best way to move forward with this because, we can go section by section. I do think that there's certain things that like are like some things are more process related, like administration and enforcement and site plans and approval for a special permit, while other things are more actual about like uses and standards. So like defining the zoning districts, the schedule of uses, and then technically you have the more administrative things in the middle, and then you get back to off-street loading, parking, loading requirements, landscaping. So I think what I want to do is I have here the connected to sections, so I want to fill that out and kind of make sure that we're looking at those in tandem and seeing how they connect to each other. But I think that where we get down here is where it kind of doesn't make sense to go in order. Like it would make sense to do 8, 9, and 10 all together. But there's no reason to like skip, like to start doing things that are about uses and standards and then change over to process and then back to uses and standards. I think that would get more messy with actually making sure things have continuity. The other way that I was thinking about it was we could kind of break it into categories of looking at permitted uses and what zones, looking at zones, permitted uses, lot standards as they relate to those things, actual building standards, and then the required permit types as they would also relate to various uses. So that's that. I can't see you guys right now, so I'm going to try to find you all again.
So one quick thing, just when we're using this, because I do like this setup, is if you could turn the grid lines on a little darker, because it's hard for me to see on this screen. That's all.
It's hard for Tony to see.
There you go. Look at that. All right, we're done.
Right, I assure you, it's Tony and only Tony.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm sitting this close to the screen, and I still can't see it.
Well, I can't even see any of you right now because I don't know what I did when I shared my screen. So I'm gonna unshare for a moment so I can see you all again.
We've all left, Zoe.
That's right. Yeah,
There you are.
Yourself.
There you are.
Oh, all right. So I think that's a good format. My suggestion was going to be, I think we're going to end up having to look at signage because you and I have talked about condensing that, and the same thing with parking, like straightening that out. Because
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's
that
certain,
is a
so
mess.
part of my notes as I was going through there's certain things like there's also within the categories of uses and what's permitted, there's things that are more like you as a commission can have a conversation and say, what are the limits we want to put on this? And how does this, how do we see this in our town? Whereas other things we should look at it against statute and case law and make sure like a lot of sign regulations, like not just in Deep River, but like just across the board, unless they've been recently updated, tend to be very outdated in a way that like actually goes against statute or case law. So, and same with parking standards, especially I'll know more once I have really done all of my HB 8002 homework. So there's certain sections that are going to be more of a lens of like, what do we need to update based on statute and case law? And then some of it will be more like, what do we think is appropriate for the zone and is a little more like, it's not a requirement, it's what does the commission feel makes sense.
So some will require discussion, other things. There's really no discussion to be had.
Right. Yeah. the new
Exactly.
laws
It's
do.
more just we need to update these ones. So the signs and parking, and certain housing related things, which I will have prepared to talk about in more depth in February.
Okay. All right. That's it for regulations discussion. Attorney? Nothing? Chairman?
Did we lose Ken?
No, he ran.
Ken was out.
I am gonna
I'm
hit
sure
you
Ken
up.
is very tired of me, so I'm just kidding.
Well, you
But
harassed him
no,
at
I have
5
no other
o'clock.
attorney updates. You all witnessed most of it.
Okay. Like I said, Chairman, nothing. Budget. It looks like you have the budget thing. Can you bring that up or no?
I did not receive a budget worksheet yet.
I have it on my phone and I went to give it to you so you can put it on the screen so we can say yes or no. Give me
You
30
have the
seconds.
budget worksheet.
I do because we're supposed to vote on it before we can put it forward. But that's what we've always done. I don't know if that's the right thing.
No, I mean, yeah, yeah, I just don't have it. Yeah.
Okay.
When is it supposed to go forward, Tony?
I'm supposed to put the thing, the 19th? Yeah.
Of
Look at me.
January?
Yeah. Give me 1 second and I will. It's pretty much just the same as last year, but I just want to like say, hey, it's the same as last year.
But
Let's see.
based on what I'm hearing, we need more than last year to keep up with everything we're doing.
We're still have our regulations on there. Count. Okay, so what we have. Gonna be, you know what? Can I send this to you and you throw it on the screen?
Yeah.
Yo.
You send it
Tony?
to me?
No, he left.
Does Zoe's hours for what she assists us with, does that come out of our budget or is that out of the town's creative?
So that's our budget.
Okay,
But
so we need more.
well, so what she touched on is they are looking to get her an assistant, which would hopefully move a lot of the like intake stuff out of her crawl. So she could, like, an FOI comes in, the secretary can take care of it.
So we don't call secretaries
Assistant.
anymore, number one. And number two, I think we still have to pay that person.
You do. It's in the budget.
So, okay.
If my email ever goes through.
Where'd you? Okay.
Yeah, it's under Anthony too.
Oh,
So I
here
don't
it is.
I don't know
Yep.
who does these things.
Okay. I see. I got your email, but I don't think the
Oh.
actual attachment curriculum.
Oh, you don't send attachments, you're that guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Are we able to distribute that for email comment? It's have to be discussed in a meeting.
I think it has to be discussed in the meeting because we have to vote on it and it has to be in by January 19th.
Oh,
That's why we just made it.
Tony, can you send it to me via Teams? Is
I
that possible?
I'm
yeah,
getting there.
I think that.
Was
Doesn't
I
matter.
on it? And I just,
I don't think you were.
okay.
I badmouthed you a lot. That's why they think they didn't send it. So.
That's okay.
You know what? I can't send it to you from Teams because you guys are hosts and I'm just a peon in that. So I'm just going to send you a new email.
Okay. Take two, try again.
Let's see if I can make this work. That work. Ignore the weird email address. It's my phone. Sorry about this. Nothing?
Just got it. Well, I got something. We'll see if there's anything in it. Yes, it worked. Okay, it's opening.
I should have let Danny do the Rivercog housing
Yeah,
thing.
can I just do it really quick, because
Yeah,
we have
please.
questions on other things that.
Yeah, well, she's straightening that up.
You may, we don't know if you can.
Oh, that's where we're at? All right, so, Sarah, you were the board, there was no, our original planning, in December, right? But your name has been submitted, so if you don't get an email, I'll submit it again, but I'll make sure that you know. There was a regional housing in December, but they went over, basically they're doing further chapters of an educational plan to offer those, planning and zoning committees in the area. For 8002, which was discussed in November after our last meeting at regional planning, they went through and broke it down. That was just before it was signed. At that time, the dates were different because there was a lot of January 1st in there, which of course that'd be null. They moved that forward. The consensus overall on that side is that Rivercog is going to, not even our Rivercog, another Rivercog has put together kind of a workflow to be able to give to us, and that in kind with Zoe's special meeting she's going to should kind of give us an idea of what a roadmap is, when we need to adapt some of these things, and if somebody comes to us before we adapt it, what does that really mean? And so that's all there is on that.
Okay, easy enough.
Well, I reduced that whole bill. I mean, they went, I can tell you everything went on that bill.
I was going to say, I won't be here, yeah.
I just refer to it as, that's what they said.
Yes. Okay, so back to the budget, unless you guys have questions for Daniel, sorry. But it sounds like we're not gonna know a whole lot more until.
No, it's all.
Okay,
I think we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about this bill for the next several months, so don't worry. There will be opportunities.
we are.
Yeah, some of it's still really confusing, so
Okay, so
I think on purpose.
anyway, here's the breakdown of the budget. 2025 is on the left, or 2024, 25. And the newer one, 25, 26 is on the right. Or sorry, 26, 20, yeah, 25, 26.
This is the year to date.
Yep.
So under that training, I know a couple of things that come up. I think the selectmen sent me some things if I wanted to attend some workshops. Would I come back and basically ask for the $50 from this budget? Is that what that encompasses?
Yeah, so everybody, that's a valid point. Everybody who hasn't taken their training, right, the required training to be planning and zoning compliant, you have to
We're gonna
take.
do it again?
No, I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. Anybody who's missed it, you got to do it.
And
But
it
yes.
usually, yeah, like there's like the Yukon one, I think is like $60, or maybe that's the Bar Association one. But if you ever do a training or something that's, like that falls in this category, you can send me the receipt and I can get it reimbursed for you through this budget line item.
If I hate to say this, but if you ever get a chance to take the one that the attorneys put together, it is an all-day event. but it has some fantastic stuff in there. It's, again, it's your Saturday, but
Yeah.
it's all day.
Yeah, we were fighting that. We all get that email too.
Yes.
I was thinking, well, maybe
Are
I'll
they still
clear it.
doing it online?
Yeah, you can still do it online, so you can pop in and out, like when Warren Shansky starts to go on.
The in-person one is actually pretty good. It's a lot of good stuff, a lot of conversations.
Yes.
I went to one years and years ago. I went to more than one, but
Yeah,
when COVID came.
I just did John's online thing. It's clear.
Yes.
Tony, you did the one that I did, right? When was that? That was 2 years ago?
I think so, yeah. Maybe. Yeah, it's 2 years ago, because they just started this 2 years ago. So I think we did it right away. But yeah, so back to the budget. Engineering services, I don't think it's changed in forever. That's just there. So basically, when you submit stuff to the engineering department, we pay them and then we get reimbursed by the applicant. So that just stays as is. Regulation revision, that's something we talked about. That's what we're doing now. It's on our this year going forward. I'm sorry, engineering review costs is the one I was mentioning. The engineering services. I'm gonna blank on that one. I believe that's for if we need study work. So I think that's why they're separate. I can get clarification from the Board of Finance if you need that. Planning and zoning consulting, that's Zoe. The POCD, that has come to an end. Training and meetings, same thing. Printing expenses, and that hasn't changed. Online permitting and licensing.
Should we just switch out what was the POCD for the
regulation revisions?
Yeah, just switch the line item. Can we do that or no? Or just
So regulation revision is in there. The POCD is separate from that.
I think we can just put
That's
0
fine.
for the
too.
requested because it's done.
Yes.
Yeah, I was reading that again yesterday. The average cost of a house in Deep River is no longer 330,000.
For?
Everybody's, we just did our assessment. We'll find out at the end of the month. So,
Fantastic.
but that's not the average anymore.
Okay. Anyway, you guys comfortable with these numbers? You started to discuss a need for more services. Like I said, we do have the part-time clerical salary.
Attorney fees.
Our attorney.
So what does that equate to, the part-time clerk's salary? How many additional hours we actually, that can't be a lot.
Carol, do you know the answer, or am I texting Tim?
It got approved at the Board of Finance for up to $25 an hour, and I believe 25 hours a week or something like that. It's right in their minutes if you can open up the Deep River webpage and then look at their meeting minutes. They're already posted.
So
Zoe, not to keep making you jump around, but did you
Yep.
catch that?
Yep,
I see you got company.
I do. She's getting annoyed with me that
Is that the
I'm
new assistant?
still on a meeting. Okay, so I want to go to the finance. Board of Finance, here we are.
So that if it's at $25 an hour, order of magnitude, we're gonna get about 12 hours a month.
Was that the January meeting, Carol?
Yeah, January 6th.
Okay.
And it was towards the end of the meeting, like
Yeah.
that.
So that's
3/4 of the way down.
half day.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Yes.
Here, wait, I'll share this other screen. Oh my God, my cat is ridiculous.
Well, it's a good thing. We will do more things. I
Well,
don't
they
think,
thought we'd get somebody in here to help her.
yeah,
And,
yeah, I don't think it's been abused. I think we're.
Yeah, if I were to back that out at an hourly rate, it's only about 4 hours a week.
And then,
But
20 to 25 a week, for 1 or 2 months, and then we'll see. It'll just be like a temporary to see if we need somebody like higher skilled or more full-time. So
16 hours per week.
let's see. Was this your proposal, Zoe, based on what you need for administrative assistants to get things?
Well, the last thing, it kind of transformed from me having more hours to this instead, but I'm not mad about it. I think it would still be useful to have just another person there, especially because some of the stuff that I was going to do in the extra hours are like if sorry, I can't see you all with this Zoom on this computer. So for example, with my inundation of FOI requests in the fall, right now a lot of planning and zoning files are in boxes from when we moved offices. So if, I work 7 hours a week, and honestly, I work usually just a full 8 because I work into what is my lunch before I go to Chester. So it took me 3 hours to go through all of those boxes for the FOI requests, and I did it twice over the course of a month. So that's 6 hours out of 7 that I would be working in a week. So stuff like that, it would be great if there was just someone else who could do some of that work, and also help with actually unpacking and organizing it so that it doesn't take hours on hours to find things that might be requested. Honestly, I do not mind having somebody else doing that work instead of me coming in an extra day a week to do that work. Just because it is very time consuming, and I have a lot of more active projects and things that I would rather be using my brain for instead. So I'm not mad about the idea of the assistant versus more hours, but it wasn't an idea that came from me, I guess, to answer your question.
Real quick, I guess can we use them also to scan a lot of that stuff that's in the boxes so it becomes part of the land use archives instead of the disaster we have right now where they're separated like no other town?
I
It's
think
not
so. That might be a
it's
question for
a general question.
Carol. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I think at the very least they're gonna help with unpacking everything and actually getting it organized. And then I feel like scanning some of that would also be good because especially with sites that have had, a lot of different special permits and special permit applications over the years, it would be easy to reference it faster than how it currently is kept because it's currently done by, which makes sense, it was done by application number. But nowadays, if I wanted to, even for 190 Main Street, I wanted to see what prior things had been approved for that property, just to make sure that I was guiding the applicant correctly. But because that happened over different years, it was like applicant number 12 and then applicant number 34. So I had to go through multiple, to find everything just for one address. So it would be nice to have it scanned and by address instead.
Carol indicated that is absolutely what they're after because I'm doing the same thing at my work. We're trying to sort out application numbers versus street address, which I don't know. Anyway, that's where we're at.
You originally had proposed or your request was for 8 hours additional for Zoe.
Mhm.
But the need does seem to be a lot of, maybe lower clerical skill set at this point. So we thought if we added money to Zoe's, then she is still going to be wasting a lot of her time just going through boxes. So if we can see how we get in 2 months of time and see how much we progress.
Our POCD, which is accepted by the town, one of the big things in there is that we need a planner, somebody that's has more time dedicated to planning, not just doing clerical. So this partially helps that. But I'd still advocate a few more hours for Zoe.
I think that was on there, actually, to be honest with you.
I'm saying that I got her back. I'm just saying she's not wasting any time.
Yeah.
We have stuff for her all the time.
Absolutely.
She's participating in the Main Street Accelerator. I don't know if that's more ECD, but she's doing it on behalf of planning. She's helping us with the grant that you got from DOH. She's, that's just the things that I'm working with her on. I know she's working on so many different things. And I'd like her to work more. So
Yeah, we moved to Wednesdays so she could join us in person, right?
That's right.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So now I got to ask you to go back because I don't think that the little Excel sheet matches what was just approved. And it might
Um,
not have to, this might just be a discussion at when they harass you with the Board of
well,
Finance.
so it looks like what was approved was, yeah, so up to $26 an hour for 25 hours per week for 2 months. So if we did that math, that should match what's in the spreadsheet.
Okay,
Or
maybe they did
so,
fix
but
it.
I don't think it does. I don't know if it does or not. I'm saying that's what the math should reflect. So
Okay.
I can do that math quickly. So 26. I already forgot what I read.
It's late, so
Week. So 650 a week times what, 8? So 5,200 would be the.
They have 4,000 in there,
So that would be at the max. It said up to $26 an hour. So I guess, if we adjusted that hourly, then we could probably reverse engineer it.
Okay.
But
does she need to fix it before we vote on it, Tony, or can we just?
I would fix it before we vote on it because, and the Board
You
of
wanna put
Finance
us-
always knocks us down anyway, a little bit here and there,
Yeah,
so.
as they should. That's their
No, they
deal.
shouldn't. Should defend the budget and it should be the budget,
I come from a background, we've had everything 15%, knowing you're gonna lose it.
It's anticipating.
Ah,
This is how it always happens.
Clerical is for your secretary.
ah.
It should be.
Oh,
So real quick, guys, since we need to include Nancy doing the minutes and the clerical.
okay. So that's what that number is.
Well, Tim's up there now.
So part-time clerical salary plus the whatever we just did for
Would it be
Part-time.
good to,
I was gonna say probably
maybe
needs
it's not
some line.
possible to create a new line item? Are we beholden to these?
See where this budget is?
Yes.
This is your budget now. So if you're adding to that, so that would be 9,200 or whatever.
Right, so 4,000 plus yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I agree with them. It probably should have been broken out differently, but we'll harass them next time.
I'm gonna go down and add it to the same and then tell me what things you want to change, just so that we can move it along.
Right.
I mean, him sitting here. Legal expenses this year.
Well, no, yeah, we'd have none. So normally what they've done is the attorney comes out of the general fund, right? Our attorney comes out of the general fund.
Selectmen's line.
Selectmen's line.
Services and all, and it just come out of that line.
Good deal.
You guys spend a lot more
So-
on services than I do.
I mean,
Then
can we
this one
pause this
is,
for a second?
I just have to ask, we're back here, I can't see that as well. What is the difference between the 24, 25 actual, and the 25? Is that like year to date so far, the 25, 26 actually?
Yes, it's year to date.
As of
Right,
a half month in, that's where we're at.
right, because we haven't made it to July yet.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Which is very.
I think that was mentioned already, but
Yeah.
it didn't sink in.
It's July, right? Or June?
July or
July.
June 30th. It's usually July or March.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was which one. Okay,
Was the last one?
is online permitting, but that has changed dramatically.
yeah, so that is a whole story, but the kind of short version is for various reasons, but the biggest one ending up being that they were trying to charge us an extra year, even though whatever. Basically, they were trying to charge us a lot extra than what we understood was the agreement. Paula, our new finance director, helped push back and really kind of had recommended that with that kind of them not budging on that budget issue, despite the fact that they were still in process of setting up the online permitting and had not actually gotten to the delivery of the product yet. We actually did put everything on pause. I need to check in with Paula. Carol, maybe you know where that is with her back and forth on that contract, but we did actually have an informational meeting with OpenGov this week, which was the online permitting system that I think Tony wanted way back when this all started. And it is a much better system. It was also better than Laserfiche, which was the other option that was being kind of floated at one point. It's the most user-friendly, and they seem to be much more. The SmartGov was fairly user-friendly, but working with their staff to actually get configuration done was very challenging. So OpenGov already has a lot of towns and cities around Connecticut that they work with, and they should be much easier to actually get something going that can then be modified for Deep River's purposes, but it will not be as painstaking as it was trying to configure it with SmartGov, where I literally was putting every single edit into its own little thing in an Excel spreadsheet. And there will be hopefully even more of a shared cost because the WPCA and DPW are interested in using it for asset management. So their software does more than just permitting, it also does some asset management functions for mapping. So
what does that do to the line item?
I was just gonna say, what's that do to our line item? We should leave it because I don't know the answer, and then if we discuss it with.
yeah, so what the implications mean for right now, I do not know.
Leave it.
Selectmen, what were your thoughts? Can we leave the line item?
I'd say leave it there till we figure out the next steps. We're trying to cancel with Granicus. What's
Yeah,
it
where
called?
were they changed like 5 times.
Yeah.
We're writing a letter, but their contract was very vague. So it's hard to
Yeah.
cancel a contract that doesn't even
Sorry.
give us dates for delivery or anything.
That screams software. They oftentimes, they'll put in like a next year, so that way they can increase their booking. It's all an accounting numbers game.
All right, so back to the budget for 1 second, and
Yeah.
if we are all good with that, we have to vote on it, so we can send it to the Board of Finance and then go there and.
So I will
Tomato
keep it.
us. Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the budget, understanding that the line item for online permitting license, we may have to go back to the well.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
I mean, I'll say this, I'm guessing we couldn't throw another $75,000 in there for a plan.
You could.
You couldn't even get one for that. probably.
I mean, you could throw it in there and then they get, I'm sending you to the Board of Finance meeting. Yeah. Payment of bills. Any bills? Awesome. That means there's a huge bill coming from Ken that we have to vote on. Yeah,
It's all right, pay up.
adjournment.
Hang on, I got one question.
Yes.
before we adjourn. So Zoe, what do we move forward now with 400 Commercial Drive? I mean, is it just gonna fall back in the litigation suit or?
So they're still in litigation with the ZBA appeal. I think we are gonna have to touch base with Ken probably tomorrow, and see what he recommends next. And now we'll have to see what they decide to do with the fact that their application was denied. So, and I'll have to, yeah. So as soon as I have some insights on what the possible next steps are, I can let commission members know, because
That would just
this
be
is
like-
not the end. This will not be the last time that we
Yeah.
are going to be hearing from them in some form.
Right? That would be the only, because otherwise they have to go to the CBA, that's us.
Well, they could, I mean, they could appeal this denial too, correct?
Yeah.
They always appeal.
Right, but that just, I mean, it's more stuff for court and
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
See what Ken says, I think all we can do is that 250 limit, so I think we're, you know.
Okay.
You know, I do think, yeah, I think it's there's a strong possibility that it'll end up, they'll end up wanting to appeal it or appealing it. It's perhaps what will happen is, within that litigation, though, some conversations and negotiations, between the commission. Because right now, the ZBA is the one being appealed in court, not the PZC. So at the moment, you know, anything related to that litigation really is not within the PZC's purview. So, in terms of,
Their business is still going on, so it's not affecting them, you know. Right.
yeah.
So. All right. Any more harassment for Zoe? If not, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Sorry. Second?
So good.
All in favor?
I.
Aye. Okay.
So